Ramaphosa, who will this morning hear firsthand how the Gauteng provincial government plans to improve service delivery. Ramaphosa, along with some members of his cabinet, will meet with the Provincial Executive Council today before visiting the city of Johannesburg tomorrow. The two-day visit will also focus on fostering collaboration between the national and provincial administrations. Newzroom Afrika's Junior Kamala, following their engagements, joins us live now from Braamfontein. Junior, good morning to you. We all know how bad the roads are in that part of Joburg. What is the President expected to discuss today?
Indeed, Stephen, quite a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to the road infrastructure here in Johannesburg. And also today, exacerbating that situation is that there's quite a few roads that have also been closed to accommodate the President as well as his national cabinet, who are making their way here to speak to the Gauteng government. A very important province for the country in terms of population, has the biggest population with 15 million South Africans residing in this province, but also the economic hub of the country, with about 34% of the country's GDP coming from this province. So one would expect that this province will basically be kept in a good condition, but that has not been the case. Of the 11 municipalities, only one had a clean audit, according to the Auditor General's report. So there are quite a lot of challenges. But as we already touched on, most of these challenges are very visible when it comes to the decaying infrastructure. And joining me now is actually the Minister of Infrastructure, Dean Macpherson. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. As the national government, what are you here to try and do in this key province in Gauteng?
Well, I think this forms obviously part of a number of visits that the President has made. We were last in KwaZulu-Natal, and it's to get an assessment of what things are like. I mean, I think that it's pretty obvious, as you have pointed out in your introduction, that things are not where they should be in terms of infrastructure, that there's decay, inner city decay as well, that budgets aren't being prioritized for infrastructure development and maintenance. And I think that this is an opportunity to see how the national government and provincial government can work in tandem to deal with those issues. Because the reality is that if Gauteng doesn't work, South Africa doesn't work. And so we've got to fix Gauteng. I think that we are at a crisis level now in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, and this really has to be used as an opportunity to set in urgent and rapid reforms that will be able to get infrastructure development back to where it is, to build for the future, and to do maintenance as well.
Speaking about maintenance, here in Gauteng, overnight we've seen some flooding that has happened, and the lack of maintenance has been blamed for some of this flooding that we've seen, even in KwaZulu-Natal as well. Just to get your thoughts around that, this flooding that has happened, how can that maintenance be done in such provinces where they've been struggling with this?
Well, the reality is that capital budgets for infrastructure are not being adequately prioritized in metros like eThekwini and like Johannesburg. So the first thing that needs to happen, I think, is we've got to work out a funding and structured model for those municipalities of how they can get their infrastructure budgets up to par. If you look at, compared to other municipalities, they are way, way behind. So we've got to get those budgets up, and we've got to find where does that money come from. And then there's got to be competent and capable contractors that are appointed to do that infrastructure maintenance. Because the reality is that money is being spent on infrastructure, but it's not even lasting half of its lifespan because of a lack of maintenance. So we've got a disjuncture between what is built and then what is not maintained. And those two have to meet each other if we want to get the full life cycle out of infrastructure. So I think that that's a discussion that I'm keen to have today, and see where we can find each other on that basis.
Minister, as the coalition government comes to this province to discuss with the province as well as the city of Johannesburg, there are some challenges facing the coalition government when it comes to passing the budget. There has been that stalemate. There's also been your party going to the United States without informing Ramaphosa's party. Does this inspire confidence in the citizens as you come and engage here in this province?
The coalition is, no one voted for a coalition, they voted for political parties. Every political party must be able to maintain its identity and be able to do so. And so the DA's trip to the United States was one to to build bridges with partners that we have in the United States. So it can't be true that other political parties can maintain relationships with countries and receive delegations from countries, but the DA can't do the same. What we are doing is in the national interest to try and let the United States know what the true reality and facts are. And if anyone has bothered to actually see what was said, it's positive, actually. It's not negative. And so, I think that the comments or criticisms of that are totally unfounded. The reality is, being in a coalition government, there's got to be compromise. There's no political party won. And so, I think that this is obviously a learning curve for some parties, that they can't just do what they want without consulting parties like the DA or other parties. That's obviously taking place in a province like Gauteng as well. And so coalitions are the new normal in South Africa. Parties have to work together. Parties have to negotiate, including in budgets as well. And if we do that, then we'll be able to create that confidence, create that stability that South Africa is looking for.
Okay, thank you so much. That is the Minister of Infrastructure, Dean Macpherson, there, just speaking about some of those divisions at a national level within the coalition government. Even as they come here to intervene in Gauteng, there are those challenges facing the coalition, the inability basically to pass the budget, as well as that trip by the Democratic Alliance to the USA, week-long trip, the ANC saying that they knew nothing about, Stephen.